meeting of the Harwich Housing Committee to order. Today is November 24th, and it's 5:07. And before we get started, there's a few things I got to read off here. This meeting will be held via remote participation. Access is available through gotomeeting.com, and this will be live on Channel 18. Big disclaimer. Okay, now this is, you have to read this. I have to read this off. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law in Chapter 30, Section 20, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Harwich Housing Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may do so by logging in or calling in as specified above on this agenda. Okay, first thing to do is let's have a roll call. And I guess the proper way it is, I'll call off a name and you'll say your name and you'll say aye if you're here. And well, I guess if I don't hear from you, I guess you're not here. Okay, Mary Mazlowski.
Mary Mazlowski here.
Yeah. Joe McFarland.
Joe McFarland here.
Okay, good. Art Bowden here. Okay. Cindy Mull. Not here.
Cindy doesn't going to be on the list.
Meg Patterson? Not here. Okay, we have a quorum, so we can get started. Thank you very much. Okay, the first item, and this is, I take not very much pleasure in this. Our minutes have been, how should I put it, kind of wanting. So I'm going to try to get them caught up in the next couple of meetings, and so we'll be up par for our minutes. But anyways, I sent out copies of the minutes for a meeting of September 14th, 2020. And I'm assuming everyone's got a copy. Is that correct? Yes, no, maybe? Joe, do you have a copy?
I didn't see them, Art.
And Mary doesn't, oh, so, well, I guess I can't go much further than that. Joe, did you get a copy?
I didn't see them. I got the agenda. Did you put them in the email with the agenda for tonight's thing?
No, this was in the agenda for the first meeting of a week ago.
Okay.
It should have been in those, in that same mailing. So, okay. So anyways, if everybody doesn't have it in front of them, we can't really either vote on them or not vote on them. So we'll just leave it until the next meeting, okay? I'll put here next meeting. You have to bear with me. I'm kind of trying to make notes as I go along next meeting. Okay. Takes care of that. Okay. The main agenda item tonight is under new business. We've been asked, the committee has been asked to vote to rescind the Housing Committee's vote on September 14, 2020, which at that time, which was to approve the Route 137 project as presented by Chris Wise. And I'll just read a little thing that was commented on in the Chronicle, how this came to be. And I think everyone has probably read the article or heard what happened. I know Mary must be up on this. And I am too. But anyways, I'm just going to paraphrase out of the article so you understand why we're being asked to do this. And the article starts off as saying the Affordable Housing Trust session, a scheduled discussion by the Board of Selectmen on a proposed 100-unit residential development off of Route 137 in East Harwich was halted based on the recommendation of the interim town administrator, Joe Powers. And then it goes on to say, because there is no formal permit application for developer Chris Wise project, Powers recommended officials refrain from discussion. So basically it is, there is no project because there is no formal permit. So with that, we all have to backtrack and rescind anything we either said or did and go back to ground zero apparently. So, start out if there's any discussion. Do we have any discussion, Mary?
Yes, there is. This is why I had a problem with us taking a motion the last time anyway. And, you know, I don't think what we did was give full approval for what was presented, because as I had said at the time, I didn't think it was ready. We didn't have any final anything to look at. So, you know, unfortunately, it feels like we shouldn't have even done what we did. So, I'm perfectly willing to make a motion to withdraw the vote from the last meeting.
Okay. I want to hear from Joe first, or second, or I should say second. Joe?
I'm good. I'll go with what Mary said. I just, after I heard what you had to say, Art, I'm good with both comments, and I second the motion.
Yeah. Okay.
Do that.
I'll just throw my comment in there. Mary, Joe, I believe we were snockers. We didn't have all the facts, and the facts we had weren't presented to us truthfully. So, without saying any more, let's have a motion. So, Mary, your motion is to rescind. Let me read it again, please.
Housing Committee from, I believe it was September 14th, Art?
That's correct.
So I move that we rescind the motion relative to the Chris Wise project from the September 14th, 2020 meeting of the Housing Committee.
Second.
And Joe, second. Okay. So we'll take a roll call vote. We'll go around and I'll call off the names and say either aye or no, whatever. Mary?
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Mary is an affirmative. Joe?
Joe McPerlin, aye.
And Art is an aye. Okay. I will draft a little letter and I will send that off to the Board of Selectmen who's requested. The request came from the board. So now apparently everybody in town is back to ground zero and we'll wait for whatever is going to happen. So on that. Thank you very much. The next item is it's back in a couple of weeks ago now. I had a short discussion with Steve Ford. Steve Ford is our liaison with the Board of Selectmen. And basically, well, he called me, and the reason he did call me was one, to introduce himself and have a little get-together chat type thing. And then the second thing is to he was the messenger from the board to us to have this vote on the 137 project. So we had a nice little discussion. And let me just, if I can, oh, here we are. What did I do? I blanked myself off here. Huh? Okay, here we go. That's a very sensitive. Okay, so a little give and take. We talked about probably about 15, 20 minutes or so. So I pointed out some of my concerns and some of the things that we've been talking about. And then Mr. Ford added some of his own comments. Anyways, one of the things on the top of my mind is the fact that, and I don't feel great about this, but the fact that Megan Patterson has basically just disappeared. I've been trying to get a hold of her. I try to call, left messages. I sent emails, and nothing's happened. So in effect, we don't have a secretary. And she was in the process of putting all our past minutes together and getting those lined up so we could have copies and then vote on them and get them submitted. So anyways, I got to backtrack and recreate that, which I will do. But the bigger picture is we don't have a secretary. So if anyone knows, if anyone's looking to like to be part of our committee, kind of have them put their name forward and start the process. The second thing, and this has been going to the core of a lot of discussions we've been having, is about our basic mission, if you want to call it, and kind of the lack of actual real things to do. We had last year, or earlier this year, we had a real nice joint meeting and some nice discussion at the time. But since then and up to now, aside from the fact that I go to the trust meetings, we haven't had any real communication back and forth. And so there's a lot of frustration in our committee right now about the fact that we've been kind of sidelined. That's what everyone feels. So so these are comments now. There was no really give and take discussion. He listened to me, and he said he would take it under advisement and he would bring these up to the Board of Selectmen. Anyways, so they centered around those two items. I said how we had a joint meeting, and we thought that was productive, but it didn't go any much further than that. And one of my feelings is, and this may not be everyone's feeling, but I feel that the two committees are basically kind of redundant. And, one is doing everything, and the second one isn't doing much. On Steve's side of the conversation, he kind of pointed out he had a few thoughts, and he thought the two committees was a valuable way to go, and so on and so forth. But he also made the comment, and I'll drop this out to you, that he thought maybe the town would be best served by having just one committee, and that being the trust, and folding the housing committee into the trust. So we just left it at there. I said, well, that's an option. And I'm waiting to hear back from him to see if he communicated that with the Board of Selectmen and see what their thoughts are. So anywho, that was the discussion. If anyone would like to add to it or subtract from it, please join in. Mary?
So I would, Art. I don't have the same frustrations that you have. There is the trust was set up for a reason. They are the only mechanism that is going to have the means and the money to actually push projects through in a faster way once they get up to speed and are able to start truly working on projects. I mean, I think COVID has slowed everybody down, but our board has always been and is only an advisory board to the Board of Selectmen. That's all this board has ever been. We're not the housing authority. We're not anything more than that. So I think there is a role, but right at the present time, no, there is not something for us to truly work on. There is no, the open space housing report is done. The trust has to start getting its projects and its budget done and start figuring out how they're going to spend their money. And then I think once that happens, there may be a role for this committee, but we have always been just an advisory committee. So, that being said, there are very limited things that we have the power or authority to do. We are strictly there to review things and advise the Board of Selectmen. And that's so I guess I look at it a little differently than perhaps you do. I don't have those same frustrations. Do I wish we had more to do right at the moment? Yes, but I think that's the nature of where we are in the housing production plan and with the infancy of the trust.
Okay, Joe, your comments, please, if you have any.
Well, I look at this differently than Mary does, and I haven't not been on the board that long, and haven't been on all these boards like Mary has, but I still come with hopefully a fresh outlook and a different thought process on this. And I believe that if we're gonna, well, first let me just condense this, because I did a lot of research. I've talked to 3 towns around us, what they do. They're all called housing partnership committees instead of housing committees. There's a reason for that, because they're partnering with the trust in a very robust way in Brewster and Chatham. Chatham actually meets with the trust together. But more importantly, both these housing partnerships have every housing project goes through them first. And then it walks through the zoning and the plan and all of that. So they get to see everything first. Both of them also, and I hadn't had a chance to get all these in there, but they've been doing some really interesting things too. But at least what I'm getting the sense of is these housing partnerships are very, very involved as advocacy and informational boards, committees, and they have a lot to do, and what they don't, they have to report to the selectmen. So their charges are very strong as to the overall responsibility of quantifying, affordable housing needs, looking for other housing needs in the community. That's the trust job, I know, Mary. But they do, like one of the towns does videos on, did you know we offer all these things in housing? They have let people know about their ADUs, the fact that particular town gets a loan through DHCD or somebody for ADUs just to get more housing in the town. What I'm seeing is a difference, and the difference is that the towns around us are actually a very viable committee, and I've not been here long enough to see what you guys did in the past, but right now we really don't have any roles and responsibilities. We don't really have a strong charge to do anything, and my feeling is that they have the Housing Trust has Belinda Deegan. They have a housing coordinator who's supposedly going to do all those things of what I just discussed. And he might be doing them now. I don't know. But so I'm really just laying that all out there and saying that I don't know where we're going to be as a group in the near future or long term right now. And I have some ideas of what we can do, but I believe that the biggest thing is we have to decide who we are and what we're going to be as a committee, as a partnership, whatever you want to call us, and take the initiative to do it. Our report is not to the trust. We report to the selectmen. So we should do that, and we should do that as an advisory committee, and report something of value to them. Like, Art is very involved in Habitat, knows everything that's going on in the projects there. It's just, I always thought it would be a great communications arm for the trust. But I didn't feel that the same love when Don Hall came and talked to us. I think they want to stay insular and they want to do their thing, which is fine. But I'm a black and white guy, so I want clarity. You know, I don't want to dance around this stuff. I want to know what we're going to do or not do. And if we're not going to do anything, I'll move on to my next adventure. It's okay, you know. But I don't like to waste time and have meetings and not actually accomplish anything.
So, Joe,
go ahead.
I totally understand that and agree with you. I think part of the issue in Bruce, if you're looking at Brewster and Chatham and Yarmouth, they're all further along than their trusts are all further along than ours is. Right. And I think that's part of why their housing partnership committee, such as it is doing more than we're doing. We obviously predated the trust. Right. So once the trust started, I think this committee's role got set aside for a while. I guess I was more expecting that than maybe Art was. But I think once, and that's my point. I think once the trust starts doing something that needs our role, then I think there will be a role there if they want it to be, or maybe they're going to set up a whole new, maybe they'll disband this committee and start a housing partnership committee and it'll be a whole new committee. Right. I don't know. But no, I believe me, I totally understand the frustration because yes, none of us wants to sit on a call and really not accomplish anything. Makes it difficult to see your hours being used and not really used well. So.
Right. So I was talking to, just one other thing. I was talking to Carol, and she's on this phone call now, McClellan, and she's just became the new chair of the housing partnership committee in Chatham. And she told me they just hired Judy Barrett, who we all know. I know her. You've been in many sessions with her to do a multitude of things as it relates to housing. So the town did, and so that will jigger some things forward for the town as well. And I think the trust might want to consider something like that, but I'm not going to get in their business. So I guess what I'm saying is the other ones are moving forward. Mayor, you make a great point about our timing as it relates to the trust. I mean, I guess infancy is 2 years, you know, and it is what it is. So I guess we're just going to wait to see where they go from here as a group.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make a couple of comments here, and maybe this is directed at Mary or both of us. Right now, Mary, you're absolutely right. We are an advisory to the Board of Selectmen, but the Board of Selectmen are not asking us to do anything for us to do anything. If anything, they're directing everything towards the trust because, like you say, they have the money and they have the whatever it is to take to put a project together and see it to the conclusion. So without any input from the Board of Selectmen, how should we proceed? You want us to just kind of sit by the wayside and not really do too much, or should we just be our own think tank and percolate our own initiatives and work on them and then present them to the trust? I mean, how do you want us to fit in there, or you just want us to stay on the sideline, wait for someone to wake us up but the overall thing is, how do we keep the committee together if we really don't have that much to do or right. anything to do? That's right. The $64 question we have right now.
It doesn't make sense to do things that are not in concert with the housing trust, because they have the money, they have the housing coordinator. I'd really like to know more of what she does in her role. I do kind of, but I'd like to know more. And so there's no way we should do this anything without piggybacking onto what the trust is doing. But I would make this comment that I would love to us to be, I believe that we could be a very intricate part of the process, right? Not which project they're going to go with first. That's the housing trust job, planning, to find those parcels and find those opportunities. But once that's established, to Mary's point, I think we should be right at the beginning of whatever the process is and be involved in any way we can, and ask forcefully if that can be okay,
Okay. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here.
This is Carolyn McClellan from the Chatham. I'm the chair of the Chatham Committee right now. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to speak now. If I could add some comments, I'll wait to the end, but I'm here if you'd like to hear from me.
Yeah, we got a few minutes before they cut us off. Okay, Carol. Carolyn, once again, just introduce yourself.
So I'm Carol McClellan. I'm currently the chair of the Chatham Community Housing Partnership. And I just want to correct one thing, that we don't meet with the Housing Trust. We do not do that. Doesn't mean we might not have a meeting later on, but we have yet to do that. And our trust has been there for a while, and right now it's composed of all the selectmen and then 2 at-large members. And the trust is a great thing. It's a mechanism for, the monies that we need to do projects. I know, I understand Art's frustration. We've been on this committee. I've been on this committee in Chatham for years, and most of the time we sat around the room, talked about things we'd like to get done someday, and we didn't do anything because we don't have the power to do anything, to do those things. That has to come from the planning board, and they have to vote on it at town meeting, and we have to get funding through the trust. All these mechanisms have to be in place before anything happens. So when we were sitting there just twiddling our thumbs, fantasizing about what we thought housing should look like in Chatham, we thought what would be a good idea would be to share with the community. When we made our series of videos, it was taking that opportunity when we had nothing to do to try to have an impact on the community about affordable housing is a good thing. It's an asset to the community. Look at what Chatham's done. Look at the houses we built. Look at the members in the community who have been able to live here. It's all positive. So we saw ourselves as being just a vehicle for communication in a positive way, that we could do that, so that when the town came up with some wonderful plan and it had to go through town meeting, we could be out there a little bit spreading a positive information and maybe persuading some voters that could go our way. Because obviously you can have the best ideas and all the money, but if you can't get through town meeting, you're not going to have anything. So that was where we were coming from at the time. But I completely understand your frustration as this committee, because we really can't do too much, but we can be there to support when your town comes up with a project and they need to move forward on it. You could be a great mechanism to go out there in the community, to go out there and sell it to different other committees, the Council on Aging, the Chamber of Commerce, go meet with other committees and boards and advocate for whatever the housing project is that your town's currently engaged in. And I think I mentioned to you, Joe, about the Habitat development there in West Harwich.
Yeah.
And I hear something, I don't hear too much, but I have a few friends at Harwich, and they've asked me a bunch of questions, and there's so much misinformation out there. If I was on your committee, what I would be doing is trying to just, you can't do some of these other projects you want to do, well, just look at that project. Why not get something together and try to put, whether it's a fact sheet that's going to go on the local TV station, or if you did a video or something, and celebrate, hey, look what Harwich is doing. It's bringing a neighborhood to this West Harwich community. We're going to have six families are going to move in there and have housing. That's a great thing. This is what we're doing. And just spread that positive vibe and celebrate the good things that we're doing and give people confidence in your town that Harwich can effectively execute their projects, and it's a good thing. And just doing that is a positive. That might be all you can do right now. I don't know if there's other opportunities, but when we were in the position that you were in right now, and I can hear your pain, Art, because we've been there, but it was like, so what can we do? And that was all we could think to do. And I know that it had an impact. I know that us getting out there, and you can't change some people's minds, but you can kind of hit the people in the middle who don't really have an opinion, and maybe they hear something and they're like, oh, that's great, they built a neighborhood, and they remember a video or they remember an interview with one of the homeowners, and they're thinking, well, those are nice people, and maybe that's all they need to vote in the positive. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I would say the trust is a good thing, because without the trust, you have no money. So you're not going to get anything done. So the trust is how you're going to get funding and how you're going to get projects that you're going to be able to work on. But you are just an advisory board. That's what we are. And it's hard to accept, but I guess that's all I wanted to share with you. I don't want you to get discouraged and give up, because it's a good work. But that's how we looked at it. So anyways.
Well, thank you very much, Carol. I appreciate your comments. I always do. I've had you at our meetings some time ago, and you're always a great cheerleader. Let me put it that way.
Well, thank you. It's a good cause.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any comments? Should we debate this any further, you know, I'm going to be talking to Stephen Ford again in a day or so, because I want to follow up my first telephone call. He hasn't called me back, and then I got to relay a message about our vote tonight. So, do I have everyone's voice or vote or whatever you want to call it to push forward with looking for more to do, going through Stephen Ford, because he's our conduit to the Board of Selectmen, and try to, you know, make our voice. Maybe we just have to keep talking and keep talking it up until someone actually listens. Am I going in the right direction or not? What do you want me to do?
I would do that. Yeah, that's fine. All right, I'm good with that.
Okay, Mary, what do you think? Mary,
I think that's fine. I think ultimately it's going to be whatever the selectmen decide they want our role to be, because we serve at the pleasure of the selectmen, whether, you know, that's the role that we have. So.
Okay. But I mean, I'm not going to varnish. You know, I'm going to leave it unvarnished, because I'm going to tell them, you know, we're frustrated. I know we're advisory, but you know, we've been sitting on the sidelines a long time, and you know, I'm going to be looking for a new member for a new secretary, and it's going to be a hard sell without actually saying, well, this is what we're doing, or you know, this is what we could be doing. So, but we need to hear the input from the Board of Selectmen. So, I mean, are you good with that? That's what I'm saying. I don't want to go out on a limb by myself. I only want to do what the committee wants to do. Let's put it this way. Okay. So,
I'm good with what you're doing. I'm good with what you're doing.
So Joe wants me to go and throw myself against the ramparts, or whatever you call it, in the town hall there. But how about you, Mary? How would you, if you were me, how would you approach this?
I'm fine with it, Art. I mean, like I said, it's ultimately going to be what they decide, and you know, there's nothing wrong with telling them you want more responsibility.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Okay. You said what I want you to say. Thank you very much. And, you know, I don't want to be out, you know, I don't want to be out there by myself and turn around and say, the committee says, I didn't ever tell them to say that. You know, I know you did. Okay. I don't think we need to take a vote on that. I don't know, just because it's kind of loose, but I got some good comments here. I wrote some of these things down. I really appreciate them. So, do you think we would need a vote on it, or how do you feel, Mary?
No.
We don't need a vote.
Good. Okay.
It's not a question.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Okay, going right along. Let's see, where am I? Okay. Well, the next item was under under old business. Wait a second. Here we go. Okay. So, Okay. This was a discussion we've had the last couple of meetings about supporting the emergency rental assistance programs that's floating out there. And the one that was, and I'll just make a comment on it. I think I'll just leave that one alone. Cindy was leading that charge, and she was supposed to get some information to add. But on my own, I reached out to see. I try to find out where, if there's any really great need out there. So I started with the Housing Authority. I talked to the new director there, Tracy Canyon. So I asked her to point out, has the Housing Authority experienced any great influx of people looking for housing assistance because of COVID-19? And her comment was, well, not really. She's had a few, the Housing Authority, they get funding. I'm talking the Harwich Housing Authority now. They get funding through CPC to run a rental assistance program. And they have X number of clients that they're working with, and they keep on working with them. Some get, drop off and go in and become whole again, and new ones come on. And so the $200,000 they apply for, I don't know if it's been actually yearly, but at least every second year, and it seems to work fine for them. So they weren't really looking for any really additional funds for any big multitude. So, and with that, I talked to our town housing coordinator, Linda, and I asked her the same question, and she says, well, she gets about a couple, 3, 4 calls a month for people that are looking for assistance. So, but they don't seem to be, and they're just looking for general assistance. So most of the time she refers them to HAC or HESH or someone along those lines. That's pretty much it. So as far as Harwich goes, it doesn't seem like there's this huge emergency. So that's where we're at. So anyways, and the only one that has additional money, that's the Housing Trust. And the trust is, their attitude is that money is from CPC, and it was allocated for the construction of housing. And so they don't want to start doling it out to other projects that really isn't related to housing, even though emergency funding is related, but that's the way it is. So anyways, I'll just leave that one there unless someone else has another comment. Anybody else? Okay. Mary, did you say? Do you want to add something?
Nothing.
Okay. The next, this has been on there for a couple of meetings. Our annual meeting, the Housing Committee's annual meeting before the Board of Selectmen has now been pushed out to February 1st, 2021. And so I've been collecting ideas. And so far, I haven't gotten any ideas, if you really want to know the truth. The most that was said to me is Cindy Mull summed it up at the last meeting and said, we're just not doing very much art. So I don't know if I should say that or just kind of skip over that, but that was her attitude. So anyway, between now and February 1st, if anyone has any great ideas, please convey them to me. So I look like we've been doing something. I know we have been doing something. So anyways, and then the last item on here was election of officers, but we don't have a full commitment tonight. And I'm still probably going to kick that can down the road a little further. So unless someone objects. Any comments? Okay. Okay, the next item, just general comments. Mary, you got any general comments you would like to make, or anything to add to the agenda in the future? Or?
Nothing right now, Art.
That's okay. like to see it at our meetings. I really appreciate it because I like your input. You've got good resources and your input is valuable. Joe, anything at all besides what you already told us?
No, I just, I'd like to hear back from you when you actually get a hold of, and speak to Logan and see what he has to say.
Yeah, okay. Our next meeting, I haven't put a date on it, and
Art?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
I don't know how to wave. I don't know if you have a wave thing here, but anyways, I'm going to get going, but I just wanted to ask you, I was doing, at the Habitat office, and, they put out a newsletter, an email letter, monthly, and would you be interested in us putting a outreach to, or any Harwich residents interested in being on the Harwich Housing Committee? And if they are, they should contact whoever. I think we have some, good people at Habitat who have a lot of skills. I don't know if you want me to do that. I'd be happy to hook that up for you and see, see if you get who you get.
Well, no, that'd be excellent. The proper channel is to call the town hall, and because they keep the running list of vacancies.
Okay.
And then it all starts with them. And they got a little, application to be filled out. It's just kind of a 1 page or 2, whatever it is. And then they have an interviewing committee, which the Board of Selectmen run. So it's a process, and that's the process.
Okay, great. I'll have them put it on the next email that they send out and see if you get any interested Harwich residents from Habitat.
Great. Cool.
All right, I'm going to sign off, and good luck with things. And if you ever want to give me a call, feel free. All right, good luck.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye, folks. Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about our next meeting. So I was going to kind of let that slide through December. I don't think anyone's going to object unless something comes along. If I have a real great conversation with Stephen Ford, he comes up with some great ideas or something. But that not being said, I'll probably let everything go through January. Anyways, so any comments anyone wants to make? Okay, do we have them?
January works for me.
January works for you, Marianne. Oh, that's good. Works good for me too. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
So moved.
Okay. Second, so moved. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.